Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 3 of On Air. I'm Sarah,
I'm Ariana.
and today we are talking about some common business myths that we are going to debunk or just talk about our experience with, things that we believed or didn't believe before we started, and what we believe now. Right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think it's common that before you start something, you look into it, and there's definitely fears. And
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people feel like they need this checklist of things before they can start a business, or in order to start a business, you need all of these things or whatever. And I just don't think it's true for a lot of them.
yeah, some things you need, some things you don't. So I guess
Yeah.
that's what we're talking about today. All the debunked business myths.
Yeah, Mythbusters.
Yeah,
But for business.
for business girlies or boys.
Or
Just kidding. Oh my god, I hate that I said that.
for everyone. Okay.
For people who have businesses or want one. That's more than enough of an intro. I took it so far.
We gave a lot of details.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
I'm
Let's
ready.
get into the first one.
All right.
You need a perfect business plan to start. And probably a lot of people think you need to stick to the business plan.
Yeah, definitely a myth. I think having a general concept of what you're doing is good.
Yeah, I think it helps you organize your thoughts and think about your business from all different perspectives. But to have a perfect business plan is probably not necessary or not even realistic.
And kind of a waste of time to like spend a bunch of effort and energy doing. Also, I'm more like, if you're truly called,
No, say it.
sometimes I feel like if you're truly called to this life where you're like, I'm going to have my own thing and I'm not going to work for someone, you're going to start multiple businesses.
Oh, yeah.
And some are going to fail. And to spend, like, I think it's good to be like, I'm going to spend an hour thinking about my business and making a plan and being like, as of today, where do I want to go? Where do I see this going? What do I see myself doing? But I do think maybe this is only because of like this, like business school. They made it like, you need to spend weeks, months perfecting this plan.
Because someone is going to look at it and validate your business before you can start.
They're going to grade you. And if you don't get a good grade,
you're done.
well, obviously, and they obviously have to grade you in school. It makes sense. But it just made me feel like, oh my God, I need like this crazy business plan. I need to like research like the market and like what market share I'm going to be able to obtain and what services I'm going to provide and my perfect customer and like the different customer like avatars and all this stuff. And while that's good to like vaguely think about, your business plan will change 500 times.
Yeah, which brings us to the next thing, which is you don't have to stick to the business plan. Like, your ability to be successful as a business owner is your ability to pivot. Like, when things don't work the way that you thought, you have to be able to reevaluate what the plan was and see if there's an alternative and pivot.
Yeah. And I think there's definitely a line between being like, oh, I was going to do this business that helps dentists and it's not working. So now I'm doing a business that helps doctors or nurses or like, there's a difference between being like, oh, I'm going to completely start again.
Yeah.
Because I think sometimes people are like, oh, it didn't work. And then they just pivot so much that they're like, new business idea.
Yeah.
Like you do have to give it time and give it a shot. But there's so many little things you can change. And there's also so many solutions that aren't something that you'd find in a textbook.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm very happy for my education, but sometimes I'm like, whoa, that like really put me in this box and I need to get rid of that.
It's like your blinders on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, this is the path you take because I read a textbook once and that was the path.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, wouldn't that be nice if it was so easy?
Also, I think for the majority of business owners, the only person looking at your business plan is you. So, like, unless you're trying to get funding or a loan,
true.
No one is looking at it other than you. So, this exercise is for your benefit. So, whatever you're doing, don't do it for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, think about your business and ask yourself some prodding questions, like, for your own benefit.
Yeah. I think the questions in there, or like the sections, like if you just Google or like ask AI, like, hey, can you help me think of ideas for a business plan? They're good in the sense that sometimes it does trigger things that you're like, oh, I didn't think of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe you didn't think of the fact that, oh, there is a max limit on the number of clients I can have because they all have to physically come to my gym or my store, and that means my max revenue is only that. Like things like that. Sometimes you don't really put all the pieces together unless you see it all on paper. But yeah, it definitely doesn't need to be perfect. And like the mission, vision, values, like good luck to you. Good luck writing that in your first few months. Like, and even in your first year of business.
Yeah.
Like maybe have like a light that's like, we want to be, I can't even think of one.
You might have like a goal where you're like, I want to empower people to be healthy.
Yeah.
But I mean, to have a mission, vision,
core values.
Yeah, core values.
In the first year.
Well, you just know they're going to change. So don't put a lot of time. I'm not saying like 3 minutes into it and then move on.
Yeah. I think it's good to like, it's a good concept, but like it will change.
Yeah.
We're not saying that these things aren't good to know and have. We're saying when you first start, you can't possibly know what it will be. So just don't put so much pressure on it.
Like it's not that deep.
Yeah. Watch everyone else is like, no, we wrote a business plan. We just stuck to it. We're like, oh, fuck.
We're like, oh, I thought people didn't do that just because we didn't stick to it. I think, I don't know. That's our opinion. We're not like, we can't tell you what to do. We can't tell you what's right or wrong. This is our perspective.
Yeah.
We're not scientists. That's what you said?
We're not.
Do scientists tell you how to do your business?
We're not.
We're not scientists and we're not business professors. We are just two girls who have started a business and who feel like we might have some things to share.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, on that note, you need the right degree, course, or certificate to start a business.
I definitely fell into this trap. I felt like the right degree or course or certificate or next thing was going to almost like magically tell me, like magically create a business for me.
Or like tell you what to do. Like as soon as you had it, you would know the steps.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I think that's probably why I started with undergrad. Then I was like, everyone's getting a CPA. Guess I'll do that too. And then, as I said, I think in the last episode or a few back, I don't remember. As soon as I got those letters, I was like, what's the next letters? Mm-hmm. Like I couldn't even take a breath. Because I was like, shit, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
More letters.
This didn't solve it. I still don't know. What the heck? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And it's not to say don't get educated, because it actually, you can learn, like having more skills is never bad. Mm-hmm. But I used to think that like, oh, I need to like think of possible problems that could come up in a business and like figure out the answer, and then I'll start the business.
Or like, I need to be an expert at this subject matter before even starting, when in reality, like you learn a lot on the way, and you should continue learning as you're like growing your business.
Yeah. And I think even with me like Googling like what's the next certificate or course or thing to do, now my perspective is you never should Google that, because all you have to do is like live the next day in your business and a problem will come up and you'll be like, that's the next thing.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to try to think of problems that are going to come up. They're going to come up. And you'll be like, oh, clearly I have to learn how to do marketing now, because today's the day I'm doing marketing and fuck, I don't know how to do it.
Well, we learned so much just from need. Just because like someone had to do it. So we're like, well, we better learn. But
guess we're learning.
Like, would we have thought of all of the different things that we need in our business and then went and learned everything before we even started? No, because you know what? That list is never ending. Like it will never stop. You'll never be an expert at every single aspect. Like it's almost impossible to learn everything before you start.
And before I started, I wouldn't have even known half those things were important.
No, you didn't. You don't even know the things that you don't know.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Yeah, it's like
that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, but unless you're a doctor and you probably should go to school before offering your services, I don't really think you need.
Yeah, there is a level of education.
There's a level of knowledge where you're not basically falsely marketing yourself or your services or your product.
Yeah.
And that's more like service based. But I don't think you need like master's degrees, doctorates, certificates, like all of these things just to get started.
Yeah.
Because you'll you're never going to get anything done.
And for me, this is just me, but for me, those types of things, the next certificate, the next learning path, whatever, it was just a form of procrastination from doing the actual thing that scared me. I was like, well, I'll do it later. I just have to do this one more thing. This one more thing, and then I'll do it.
Or like a confidence thing too.
Yeah. And you'll never learn in a book what you can learn hands-on. Or maybe you will, but like it takes way longer.
Well, I mean, I think we've talked about it before, but I've learned a lot more starting a business than going to business school.
Yeah. Well, that's true.
So, I mean, yeah. I also think adults learn, maybe this is the scientific proof. Maybe I just made it up. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure most adults learn better through like hands-on rather than auditory or reading. Mm-hmm. So sometimes you got to get your hands dirty to learn.
Yeah.
Got to get in there. Okay. Oh, right. Well, this is basically this. You need to know what you're doing / be the expert. We kind of.
Yeah, we kind of covered that. But all you really need to know is when you need help.
Yeah, you need to know when you don't know, because a lot of these things, like, you can consult a lawyer, you can consult an accountant, you can consult an expert, but just know when it's time to consult an expert. You know?
I think it's almost better to know that, okay, obviously I don't know everything. Like, this is the point where I'm at my limit and I need to bring someone in, or just like talk to someone who's been there before. It doesn't have to be so aggressive. It could just be your friend who also has a business. Instead of, I think the opposite's almost worse, where you're like, oh, I know everything.
Yeah.
Because then you get really stuck.
Or like, I should know everything, or I can figure it out myself, or.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, you can for a lot of things, but sometimes it's like, just admit that you don't know, because it's fine to not know, and just ask someone who does know.
Like, and how could you know?
How could you know?
You know?
I don't know. I know nothing.
That's never been a problem for me. I'm always like, I don't fucking know anything. People are like, you know something. I'm like, I don't think. No.
You know a lot
I don't
of
think
things.
So.
The problem is, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know.
Yeah. That's so true.
You know?
Yeah. We say you know almost.
You know? Okay, another really common myth, and I feel like I hear this one a lot, is you need a lot of money to start a business.
Certain businesses.
Yeah, certain businesses you do, but a lot of businesses you don't really need that much. Like, especially service-based businesses.
Yeah.
It's like basically nothing to start.
Yeah. Like, you have a little bit of, it's your time. Your time is your currency, essentially. You're putting your time and energy into something, which I guess you could be using somewhere else and make money. But other than that, yeah, a couple overheads. You probably already have a laptop. You probably already have most of the software you need. You have ChatGPT.
You have Gronk. You have
Gronk.
AI.
I want to call him Gronk all the time.
Gronk? Wait, isn't that football player?
It is.
Okay.
Okay.
It obviously depends on the business. If you're starting a business where you need capital assets, like maybe you need machines, maybe you need a welder, maybe you need this and that. Inventory.
Yeah.
Like, some businesses you need like a little bit of cash or a lot of cash. But this idea that every single business owner needs this like huge amount of money to start, I just don't think is true for a lot of types of businesses.
Yeah. And I think sometimes it's almost like people feel like, oh my gosh, I need so much money to start. Like, not that it's pointless, but like, it's almost like their whole thing is like, I need this amount of money, and without it, I can't even do anything.
Yeah.
And then I think that also sometimes makes people get into like weird deals, not deals, but they're like, oh, can I get a loan right off the bat? Can I get investors off the bat? Can I borrow money from my parents? And you're like, did you really need that? Or could you have maybe been a little more scrappy and just build a little bit slower?
Bootstrap it.
Yeah. So you're not like, because money comes with strings, even if it says it doesn't, even if the strings is just interest, or maybe it's just pressure or a feeling, or family dinners are now awkward, but like, it does put a level of undue pressure on you.
There is always strings attached when money is being handed from one entity to another.
Yeah.
There is, even if it's no strings attached, there are strings attached.
And it could be like, maybe you're like, okay, I get that the strings are this. I've calculated it. It's worth it to me.
Yeah, sometimes the strings are necessary and worth it. And sometimes,
yeah, there's just no free lunch. Just know that there's no free lunch. There's always something.
Yeah.
And it can be either running a business, starting a business already really, really stressful. And adding that component of like either an investor or a loan. I mean, loans are a little different, but you obviously have to pay it. Anyways, it can just add to that feeling of like, oh my gosh, I have to do this and I have to do it fast.
Yeah.
And now this person's asking me. Or it can make someone who isn't you and maybe doesn't see your vision for the business kind of project their vision onto you because like they're backing it or they have the money.
And you feel like you kind of have to stray from your vision to appease this person giving you money.
Mm-hmm.
And then a lot of the times, I mean, with conflicting goals, things just don't really work out. But I also think that if you are able to kind of like bootstrap the business for the first little bit, I feel like you have a better insight into your business that way because you're so like, you're paying attention to every single little detail. You're paying attention to where the money is going. You're paying attention to how to be profitable. You're paying attention to like where the opportunities are, where the risks are, because your funds are so strapped.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're so minimal. Whereas when you have this like cushion, I feel like it almost gives you this like false safety net.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like personally, I would personally like to avoid having an investor until absolutely necessary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And just know, like, obviously it depends on the structure and how you're doing it and if they're getting equity, all these different aspects. But just starting a business with someone, it's not quite the same, but it's almost like marrying them. Like you're in a legal, committed relationship that if you need to get out of, you might need to get lawyers involved. Not everyone, but like it could easily become that. So just really, if you think of it a little bit that way, I feel like it helps you assess someone's integrity, someone's past history with business, like all those things, which you might not consider if you're just like, oh, they're going to write me a check.
Yeah. And you might not think that like having the same values as this person is that important until something goes wrong that is unforeseen. And it actually is, it's extremely important because I feel like when you're talking to a potential investor, especially when everything is new, like for you and you're excited and this person is interested in your dream, which makes you feel so amazing. And you're like, oh my God, they believe in me. Like, this is so exciting. It's easy to just ignore red flags and just kind of be like, yay, I'll take the money. Without kind of like doing a full analysis. But when you're meeting with an investor, when you're evaluating an investor, they're not like, don't think of it as them evaluating you. Like you are evaluating them. I mean, both, but
yeah,
it's not just like a one-sided evaluation. Like you should be evaluating them and whether they are a right fit for you, because it will cause problems if you're not the right fit.
100%. And when they're showing you who they are, listen.
When they are showing you the hand, look at the hand.
When they're like, everything else in my life is a problem except for you, you're not like, oh my God. Be like, interesting.
It will be you eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe not now, but eventually it might be you. Reality is, when someone's giving you money, they want something in return. And it's either interest or ownership. And when you're giving away ownership, you are giving away control to your little baby angel project that you've been working so hard. It's your little hopes and dreams, it's your everything. You are giving a little piece of that to somebody else. So you better trust them.
Yeah.
And you better like them. And you better be on the same page as them.
Yeah. And sometimes when someone's like super savvy in business, that's not necessarily bad, but assess why they're successful. Are they successful because they're just really, really, really skilled at what they do? Or are they maybe successful because they kind of take advantage of people or screw a couple people or have the gray lines of like, nah, they didn't say I could do this, but I kind of did, you know?
Yeah, like are there success stories, like long sustainable stories, or are they like short-term wins that never kind of continue past a few years?
Yeah.
Because that is something that
just look for red flags.
Just
If there's more
something to
than
keep an
3,
eye on.
just maybe don't, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, 3-strike rule. Or 1 strike, depending
And
on
we're
how bad
just-
the flag is.
We're just making all of this up. Like, this is just a random scenario we just thought of.
This is completely made up.
Complete made up fiction.
Not reliant. Yeah, not.
It's not based on anything
This is fiction.
that happened in our real lives. Okay, what's the next one? Before we get in trouble.
I do think it's really important to talk about this whole like investor thing, because I feel like a lot of people who are not in business think like they don't see the pros and cons of having an investor.
Yeah. Well, you're
Even,
just
like my own family got.
Yeah.
Like
it's just the pros.
Yeah, you see
lot
the
of the time.
pros because it's so exciting. And
Well, people don't post, "Hey, I got fucked" on LinkedIn. They go, "Look at this new investment, new this, new new partnership."
and people almost think that it's like a cool positive thing to get an investor. People are like, I got an investor. And I'm like, why did you need an investor?
Yeah.
Like, what
Obviously,
did you-
depending what you're doing. But
Depending
yes.
on what you're doing, but you're like, why are you bragging about needing money from somebody else? Do you know what I'm saying? Obviously, like there comes to a point where like you're actually just so successful and like you need investor money to like scale to the next level or whatever. Like
Yeah.
I'm not saying that all investors are bad, and I'm not saying you should never take an investor, but like especially, I don't know, sometimes I'm like suspicious. Anyways,
Or it's like, you didn't make a good enough cash flow, obviously.
I'm like, you didn't project your cash flow for 2 years? That's embarrassing.
Oh my god.
No, I'm just totally kidding. It depends on the situation, depends on the person, depends on the business. Okay. Another myth. You have to stick to your decision and business plan. We talked about this. Myth.
I think they're all myths. They're all I think I just wrote them all as myths.
They're all myths, but it would be fun to pretend like they're not all myths. and
Okay,
then we talk
rephrase the
about
one an opposite way. The next one.
like myth or
Like
truth.
make it a truth. Wait.
Okay.
Wait.
Yeah. No, I'll just reword it to make it a truth.
Okay.
That's going to be confusing for the listener, you think?
Yeah.
Should we just stay consistent? We're halfway through the list already.
Let's stay consistent.
Okay.
I always want to change something.
No, I think that was good if we had started from that way in the beginning. Maybe,
Yeah.
But we didn't. Okay. Owning a business equals freedom.
Truth.
In some ways.
I'm just kidding.
And
Well, I only work on the beach now.
what beach?
There's one by my house. You don't know about it.
You mean your bath?
Oh god.
I think that you can build a business with freedom, and I think you can build a business without freedom, and I also think freedom means different things to different people, and I also think that businesses can have aspects of freedom and aspects that are not really freedom. So I don't think having a business just equals freedom.
Carte blanche.
Yeah,
Totally agree.
there's layers to the freedom.
I think creating a business that gives you, the founder, freedom is an intentional design by you.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, and it's not right away.
And I think a lot of people think that business equals freedom, especially if you're like, let's say you're a trade and you're working for somebody and you think like, oh, I can just do this myself and I'll have this freedom. But you don't realize that you're actually just creating another job for you. Like it's actually the exact same, if not more responsibility, because now you can't just like book a vacation off. I mean, maybe you can, but like, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're not building this idea of freedom that you thought. You're building yourself another job, except the boss is you.
Yeah. And you have different freedoms. Like you have the freedom to not go to a certain client, or the freedom to start an hour later or work on the weekend. But usually those come with like actually more time and energy, not less, especially at the start. Now, can you be intentional about being like, I want to build this into a thing where I then have people who work for me. I'm going to leverage my time so I can, you know, like
Yeah.
make money on top of, right? Like that's the goal, but like, yeah, that's
like you
not
can
just
scale,
automatic.
you can do different
Yeah.
offerings and stuff. But again, you are the determining factor whether your business provides freedom or not. Like, because it depends how you design it.
Yeah. And I do think when you're designing it, just even if you're like have it in the back of your mind. It seems like such an obvious thing to like think about, but a lot of people don't. And I think people do inadvertently create businesses where they're so good at what they do and they become the business. So if they stop, the business stops. So like, and then you're just kind of creating a jail cell for yourself.
Yeah.
That makes money.
A prison.
Potentially. But there are ways to do the exact same structure of a business or the exact same type of business without it being all on you. And that's so stressful.
Yeah. I feel like when we were designing our business, we both placed a huge importance on freedom.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we've actually done a pretty good job.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
But it also isn't like day one you're going to do that. Like you have to, like, you might be like, my design of my business is 2 years of me grinding. And then in year 3, my goal is to, like, it's more like that.
Yeah. Also, freedom doesn't mean you're not working.
No.
No. Unless you get to a certain point where everyone's just doing everything for you and you're literally a silent business owner, which, like, I don't even know how good those businesses are. I don't know. But, I mean, they probably are good. I'm pretty sure that's what rich people do. But, like, freedom doesn't mean you're laying on the beach doing nothing.
Yeah. And I think to me, freedom isn't like, oh, I never work again. Like, I actually love working. And when I'm not working, I'm like thinking about, I don't know, like I don't think I could just never like just chill. Like I'm not a chill person. But to me, freedom means I get to work on things that I like working on. Like I'm not working on, like that was one of the reasons why we took out doing personal taxes. Like we hate it. It's not fun. It can be very lucrative, but it's just like it takes my energy and it just like I hate it.
We have the freedom to choose what we're doing and what we're not doing. Also,
so
there are tons of times where one of us will be like, oh, we have something to do during the week. I'm going to do it. Like we can do that. We have that freedom to rearrange our schedule, which I feel like was really important, at least to me, just to be able to be like, yeah, I can book an appointment in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week and not be stressed that my business is going to crumble or someone's going to call me and like be pissed that I'm not at my computer right at 9 a.m. right at 5 p.m. Right. Like just the flexibility. Even like I work best in the mornings and you work better in the evenings. Like the flexibility for me to like start early, end early, or do whatever, and you to kind of do the opposite.
Yeah. And I think part of that is also just setting realistic expectations for like clients too.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I look at these websites and it's like, we reply within 12 hours. We reply within, like I saw one, it was like, we will reply within 5 minutes or something like that. Now, maybe they have a massive team of customer support people who are just sitting there waiting for
or
you.
It's
like
AI.
Yeah, probably it's AI. You're right. But I was just like, that would give me so much anxiety knowing like, oh my God, if this comes in, I would just be like constantly checking. I'd be like,
yeah, well, even I feel like when we first started, we debate putting like a turnaround time on our support thing on our website.
Yeah.
And then we're like, nah.
And we probably do reply within that amount of time.
We probably reply within 24 hours.
Yeah.
But to be like, we will reply within 12 hours or 24 hours.
Unless like you're in like an industry where that is like a huge selling feature and you have to do that. Like maybe like a software customer support thing. But yeah, just something to think about.
Something to think about. You build your own freedom into your own business, and freedom means different things to different people. Okay. You have to hustle. This kind of feeds into it, but you have to hustle 24/7 to make it.
Man, I hope. I hope it's a math. Or go ahead. I always start. I always take it.
No, I don't think so. I think I started the last one, didn't I?
I don't know.
Okay. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think there are times where you need to push and maybe you do need to hustle and you have this goal and you have this deadline and like you are hustling a lot.
Yeah.
But then I don't think that's long term. And I think if you do require to hustle 24/7 long term, I don't think your business is sustainable personally. And I think probably you're going to burn out, or you're going to take a day off and the whole business is going to crumble. Like, I think working 24/7 or like really pushing is like a short-term thing in order to reach a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the short-term thing is a year or 2. Like, I'm not saying push for a week and then take a week off, which, I mean, you can if you want, but you can do whatever you want. I'm not telling you what to do. But I don't think hustling 24/7 forever is sustainable.
No.
And why are you building a business that needs 24/7 attention? Like, it's not a very good business.
That's not very fun to me.
Well, it's more just like it's not probably set up properly if that's required.
Yeah. Agreed. I do think that obviously you have to work hard, and there is a level of attention and energy you can put into a day that makes the next day also able to be like you can still work well the next day and the next day. And I think that's the level you should be at.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Like, if you're like, okay, I can work 8 hours super focused, and then tomorrow I can also work 8 hours super focused, and then
Like,
the next
there's a
day
threshold.
Yeah, like, what is your threshold for consistent, excellent work? Unless you truly have a reason to be like, okay, no, today I'm working as long as I can because of this reason. But then if you do those things, you're kind of just usually on a cycle where you're like working super hard, crashing. And even if you're still working, you're not usually focused. You're not as creative. You're not as like, you're making dumb mistakes. Depending on what type of business you're in, like our business, making a dumb mistake can be a really big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So you do need a level of like rested, rechargedness to keep the consistency. And my personality is a little bit more like push, stop, whereas Anthony's is way more slow and steady wins the race.
Mm-hmm.
And when I look at both of us, I'm like, I think maybe like his slow and steady sometimes it outlasts my like go hard crash go.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be more like consistency is key.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I think consistency can be underrated, or maybe it isn't underrated, but for me, I think it was a little bit. I'm like, if I can just grind for like 16 hours today, I can do this. And maybe that's my procrastination, which is like, maybe you can one time, but if you could just do a week of 8 hours, you're way better.
Yeah. Or just like, that shouldn't probably be the norm, because it's probably not sustainable. And like you said, you probably will get to a threshold where you're just not even doing good work anymore. Like, you're not really being super effective or super creative. Like, make the hours that you work count. Like, make them productive. Like, you're in a good mindset. Because even, I mean, like, I've done something in 3 hours that probably should have taken me 1 hour, because
you just can't focus, or like your brain's not in it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I even feel like it's actually a little bit different now, because I am doing a bit more stuff that isn't just like numbers. Like, there is a creative aspect.
Yeah. But
someday I'm just like, the creative juices are not flowing. Like, it actually is so beneficial to like step away, do something else, come back, and you're like, oh, this isn't even that hard anymore. Instead of just staring at it, doing nothing.
I actually love that about our business now, because totally, like, sometimes I'm like, I'm in a creative mood, so I'm going to do this creative thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or like, oh, I'm not really in a creative mood right now, so let's not push it. Let's do the non-creative work right now.
Yeah.
Which I guess is also part of the like freedom.
Yeah.
But
the different things.
Yeah. So
absolutely.
I personally don't think it's sustainable to hustle 24/7 forever.
Or you need someone in your business who can pick up the pieces when you need a week off, or like, you know.
Yeah, but it's also not fair to like push yourself to burnout and then break apart and expect everyone to pick up the pieces while you go have a burnout and then come back and like do it all over again. Like, it's like, it's actually quite detrimental and stressful for the team that constantly has to like anticipate
when you're gonna burn out again.
Yeah, and like be ready to like clear everything they're doing to like pick up the pieces until you come back.
Yes.
Like, I don't think that's great for team building.
No.
And I still don't think that's sustainable, even if like your business is getting by doing that stuff. I don't think it's great.
Yeah. And I think also just being honest with yourself, like, am I just working hard because I feel like this is what I should be doing because this is what a business owner, this is what an entrepreneur, this is what a founder does? Is my energy I'm putting into this right now, like, am I seeing the value in this? Because I have seen a lot of business owners who are working, but they're almost just like stewing on problems.
They're like doing things just to say that they're doing things, but they actually have like no benefit.
And yeah, and you're like, you'd be better off to just like go away from this for one day, fully leave it with someone you trust. Not saying like have a full, but like just take a break and then come back. And then you'll probably, instead of just stewing, you'll probably be like, oh, I see a solution. Or you know what? I'm going to fix, like, just stewing on your business. Sometimes it's hard not to, but I think if you can give your brain that mental break, it like comes back refreshed.
Yeah, like if you're not doing something beneficial to your company, like why are you doing it? Like just take a break, just chill. Everything's fine.
Yeah. And as the owner of your business, you're not being paid for your hours worked.
Yeah. So
you're not paid.
What are you trying to prove?
Like you are, but like you're not paid to be busy, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
You're not paid for like make work projects.
No.
So
like you'd be better off to go think about a solution and yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You are too good to be doing boring tasks. True. No, I'm just kidding.
Boring tasks.
I think like at the beginning of a business, you're kind of the jack of all trades.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, nothing is beneath you. In my opinion.
Well, you save a lot of money if you can just do a lot of stuff yourself.
But also like, I don't know. I just think as a business owner, if you're not willing to get your hands dirty every now and then, like, I don't know, you should be able to.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you should be able to do like the best job at everyone else's job, like once you have a team, but to say, I don't know, maybe this isn't the question, but when business owners feel like certain tasks are beneath them, it bothers me.
I think people who really care about the outcome of their business and having good service and like providing true value, like I feel like it's like those people don't usually feel like that.
Like there's nothing beneath you. It's your company. Like you should do literally anything required to make your company successful. So
absolutely. And oh no, what was I gonna say?
Also, if there's something that's super boring, like get tech to do it for you.
Exactly.
Or like no, obviously you can't get tech to do everything, but
yeah. And I think just knowing like no one cares about your business as much as you. So even though someone might have like designed 57 websites, they probably won't put the care and attention into the copy or like, you know what I mean? Like not to say you could design a better one, but like there is a level of you just like giving a shit that does make it good.
Yeah. Like you should probably give a shit about all levels of your company.
Yeah. Now, is it always the best use of your time to do super low level remedial work?
No.
Probably not.
No, it's not the best use of your time. But if there's a pinch and if it needs to get done and there's no one to do it, like do it. You're not better. Obviously, you're not better than the well, okay.
This one's hard for me because I'd never think like this at all. I'm like, people don't think like this.
I feel like almost because of that prior corporate type job where these managers think that like doing this other work is beneath them and they've got this like arrogance and this ego, like now that they've gotten to this level, like everything else is beneath them.
She's traumatized.
Just really rubs me the wrong way. And then I'm like, I don't know. I just think it makes for a bad environment when there's too much ego involved.
Yeah, that's true. It's not like a super fun, chill culture when someone's like clearly like, I'm better than you, you're trash.
When someone's like, I know you're really busy and I don't really have anything going on, but like, can you go get me a coffee? No one's ever said that to me. I actually just made that up, but like.
You for real made that up?
Yeah.
Oh.
But it's like, what? Like if you're, okay, for example, if you had a team, your entire team is grinding. You have an hour before your next meeting and you kind of have like a little bit of free time and like the office needed something. Maybe the office needed to like go drop something off to the mailbox. Everyone's super busy. Are you going to say you're not going to do it because it's beneath you?
I see. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's like nothing is beneath you in your business.
Yeah. Do you feel like business owners do that though?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, some, the bad ones. No, I think there are some people who get to a certain point where they're like,
that's true. I mean, also if your business is, yeah, that's true. You do get to a certain point, I'm sure, where
you're like, this is the entry level job. I'm the owner.
Got it.
And you're like,
I think my personality is like, I'm working on the opposite side of things. I'm like, people don't do that, but yeah, of course they do.
I think I just am like, whatever needs to be done in order to get done, like I'll just do it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't really care what it is, but anywho, okay. That was my rant. Next, myth or truth.
Okay.
Failure means you're done. One strike, you're out.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine?
No one would ever get anything accomplished.
No.
Ever in the whole world.
Yeah, no.
Every single person fails at something.
Also, is it a failure if it's just a step towards the direction of something better?
Yeah, when one door closes, 3 others open.
Exactly. Everything that was the worst thing that happened to me in my life has, in hindsight, turned out to be one of the best things that have happened to me.
Agreed.
Which I know sounds a little bit cheesy, but it's genuinely true. Like,
we wouldn't be sitting here today.
No.
Doing a business we absolutely love.
And even just in all aspects of my life, I'm like, there's so many things where I'm like, that is horrible. It's like that. I'm going to say the proper thing, little thing. I can't remember how it goes. But it's like the guy gets a horse and everyone's like, wow, you're so lucky. He's like, maybe. And then the horse runs away. Okay, I can't remember.
No, it was going well. I was following it. The horse. I love horse stories.
I'm sure everyone's... Have you heard this one?
No, I was really excited for what you were about to say.
Frick. Okay, I'm going to try really hard, but it's hard. Okay, so basically they find a horse and everyone's like, oh, you're so lucky. And he's like, we'll see. And then his son rides the horse and falls off and breaks his leg. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's so unfortunate. And he's like, we'll see. And then the war comes and his son can't get drafted because he has a broken leg. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're so lucky. And he's like, we'll see. And then it goes on and on. But it's basically just saying, you don't know if this is good or bad, so just shut it.
Yeah.
And that is truly like how I stay sane. I'm just like, meh. This could be a problem, or I could just choose to decide that this might be the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Also,
might be delusion.
Like, eventually it will be okay. So whether it goes this path to this path, down here, up here, like, eventually things will be okay.
Or you'll die.
Well, that's why I said most times. Did I say most times? Well, let's pretend that option doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Or it won't be okay. But so far it's been okay. I don't know.
Every time I've failed, it's actually just been like, wow, thank God that didn't work out because now I'm doing something I like way better.
Also, you just kind of have to get used to fail. I used to have a huge fear of failure just because I thought that, like, if I failed at something, I was a failure of a human.
You said you couldn't quit your job because you thought your whole family would leave you.
No, seriously. I was like, I'm a failure. I wasn't cut out.
Which I kind of get, but it's just
I kind of get.
No, I didn't mean it like that.
No, I know. Yeah, I had a huge fear of failure. And so it's taken me a little bit to kind of get comfy with failure because I've failed quite a few times now. Like, I've tried things that didn't work out.
Mm-hmm.
I think, especially being a business owner, you just have to get comfy with failure because you will fail and everybody fails. And the difference between you and the person that's making a bajillion dollars is every time they failed, they got back up and they tried again.
Wow. Love it. That's so good.
But also it's true. Like, you're never going to win if you don't keep going after the failures.
And everything's a failure until you suddenly make it. And then everyone's like, knew it. You do it.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
No, but yeah, that's true.
And the only way to really get good at failing, unfortunately, is just to fail.
Just keep
but
failing.
I feel like that is something someone said to us. They were like, they said, well, it's easy for you because you've failed before, but I've never failed. Like something like that, where it was just like, they were almost being like, well, it's hard for me to do this and like try because I've never failed, but like obviously it's easy for you because you failed. And that like
You're a piece of shit.
Well,
Failure.
it sounds negative, but it's actually they meant it in a positive way, I think. Yeah. And I took it positive because I was like, you're right. Like,
someone said this to you.
Yeah.
Oh. I thought it was something you heard.
No.
Someone said this to
like
you.
They were trying to like, I was like, just kind of like, I was just like, just do it, essentially. And they were like, I know, but like for me, it's really scary because I've never like tried and failed, and I'm really scared of failing. And then they were like, but
you're the deepest. Your first cut's the deepest. It's actually true.
And I don't think they said it so aggressive, but they were essentially saying, like, you've already tried this, failed, tried this, failed, tried this. Like, you have no, like, there's no expectation on you almost. You know what I mean?
Well, you become desensitized.
Well, people don't give a shit. You realize
they're like, another one.
But it's weird how you have this expectation of yourself of like, I'm the person who never fails. And if you just decide I'm the person who fails a bunch, firstly, no one cares. And you actually get way further because you can't do anything hard without taking any risk at all. You know, like,
you're never going to,
like something's just going to drop in your lap. But I kind of took it as a compliment. I was like, that is so cool that you're like, they were almost saying it to me as like, well, you're ahead of me because you failed in a weird way. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was just like, that is actually so interesting that you're like, I don't know. And I was like, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Failures as,
I don't know,
accomplishments almost.
Or like, I've broken through this fear just because I've like failed a bunch already.
You've broken.
And I was like, well, I didn't do that on purpose.
You've broken the failure barrier.
Maybe that's what it is. Like, just break the fucking failure.
Breaking the barrier, breaking the seal.
Even though it still sucks.
It sucks, but the first failure is the toughest.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of get over it and you're like, well, no one expects me to.
And now I don't even call them failures. I'm just like, nah.
It wasn't a failure. It was a pivot.
Yeah. We just decided that wasn't for us.
It's called pivoting. Have you ever read a business book? I'm just kidding. Half of those are useless.
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Still kidding. No. Anyways. Okay, this next one is kind of funny. Okay, not really. Women don't get treated with respect.
That's the whole thing.
That's a myth. Myth or truth? Myth or truth?
Okay, that's a myth. Okay. I don't know why I wrote it so weirdly. I think what I was trying to say, or like what I was trying to like, the conversation I was trying to start is that I don't know if this is still okay.
No, I think it makes sense.
Okay. I'm trying to say, don't be scared to start something because you're like, well, I'm a woman and it's a boys club or it's this. Like, I don't really know if our generation feels that as much. I don't.
Okay, maybe not working with peers.
Yeah.
Okay, this is obviously my own opinion from my own experiences. I don't feel that way working with peers, but whenever I've worked with older generations, maybe it was also just the industry, I have felt like it's a boys club that I'm not included on.
Really?
But I'm like, well, fuck you, pieces of shit. Just made me angry.
So maybe it's a little bit of a truth
I wasn't
still.
like, I didn't think that I was less than them.
Yeah.
If anything, like at that old job, it was a bit of a boys club with senior management where they would like go and do things and I would not be included.
Right.
And there was another female one that wasn't included. But in a way, it almost set a fire under my ass to like demand respect from them. Like I definitely had to earn my respect from older men there. And I feel like I did. Like there was definitely a shift after I think this is really sad to say because I feel like you shouldn't have to do this to like get respect from people. But once I started putting people in their place, they started respecting me.
Yeah.
And because I've never been a man, I don't know if that's the way it is for men. I don't know if that's what everyone feels or if it's just because I was a woman. Like I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
Or because I was like young.
Yeah.
at the time, young
Super
and
hot.
a woman, like two strikes, young woman, you know nothing. No, I'm just kidding. So maybe it was a combination of things, but I think in some industries, maybe it's true, maybe it's not. I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. In some industries, it's definitely still true.
In some industries, it's true. I think with our generation, I don't feel it's true. Like
I think it's getting
working
better.
with people in the same generation,
Yeah.
I don't feel that way at all.
Yeah.
And in our space, I don't feel that way at all. Like in our industry.
Yeah. And I think what I was trying to like get at a little bit was you can kind of like train people how to treat you.
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you got to tell them off.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to tell them that you wear the pants.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And it would be nice if it wasn't that way. And I wrote that as a myth because I really haven't felt that, to be honest. But I've only worked certain places with certain people.
I think it's still I think it's still. Okay, what was the question? I think it's still.
Probably could have wrote it.
Women don't get treated with respect.
So aggressive.
I don't know why.
I don't know why I wrote it like that.
Funny.
I didn't write it.
I don't think that's true. I just think there are certain industries where, like, sometimes as a woman, you have to push for the respect.
Yeah.
And I think, but I don't think that's like a
blanket.
Women don't get respected.
Yeah.
I don't think that's true. I think I think nowadays it's fewer and fewer industries. And I think as the older generation retires, I think it's going to be even less. And I mean, it was pretty minimal. Like, maybe if I didn't have a senior management role, I would have respect, but maybe because I was, I don't know. Actually, there was one other time at the job before that where there was a male manager who said some very questionable things. And I was, anyways, so
maybe that one's true. Maybe that one could be either.
I don't think that's true. I think if you're a woman and saying, "Oh, I'm not going to get respect," like, I don't get respect, like, no.
Well, you're not going to get like that. That's true.
Yeah, like, that's not the mindset to have. Like, the mindset is that you will have respect regardless if you're a male or a female or whatever you are. You can, like, you determine whether you're going to be respected, kind of. Like, you can go into a room and you can demand respect. And I think having this, like, mindset of, I'm not going to be respected, it's a male dominated industry, like, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure.
Yeah.
And, like, you're kind of perpetuating this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, go in there and demand respect.
But don't do it by just being like, I demand respect.
I declare bankruptcy.
Also, some people are dicks and they're actually just dicks to everyone. And it's not because you're a woman.
Also, this is like, that's complete. Well, that's why I'm like, I don't know. Maybe they just do that to everyone, or maybe it's because I'm a woman. I actually can't tell. Also, demanding respect doesn't mean being a bitch.
Okay.
Like, you don't have to be a bitch to be respected.
Yeah.
You can be firm and you can, like, be clear on your expectations.
Have some boundaries.
You can have boundaries without being a bitch.
Yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people are, like, especially females in, like, management roles in businesses or whatever, I feel like there's this stigma about, like, female managers are just, like, bitches. I don't know. Anyways, you don't have to be a bitch to be respected. You can be kind and still be respected.
Fair but firm.
Yeah.
Kind but firm.
Exactly.
Kind but fair. Wait,
yeah.
I don't know. I just said
whatever you're trying to say. Yes.
Yeah.
So, although I think that's a myth because it's just, like, way too generalized, and I don't like to have a victim mentality.
No. It doesn't help you. That's for sure.
No. So that was our last myth.
That's the one we ended on? Oh no.
Can we think of another one?
Yeah, I had a bunch. Can we think of any off the top of our head? I thought those were the best, or some of the good ones.
Those were good ones. What's another myth?
Maybe it's enough. Maybe no one cares. Okay, I actually have one more myth.
Okay, let's hear it.
Okay, how do I phrase it so it's a myth? I guess what I'm trying to say is if someone's trying to give you advice and they're not where you want to be, don't fucking
such
listen.
a good one.
I don't know how to say that as a myth, but like if your teachers, your parents, your boss, your ex-wife, I don't know where that came from, is trying to be like, don't start a business, don't do this, don't do that, and they're not where you want to be in life, fuck them.
Yeah, also if someone's like, yeah, whoever is giving you advice, look at all of the aspects of them. Are they happy in their life? How is their home life? What are they looking like? Because you following their advice is you following their path. Do you want to be on that path?
Yeah. And that doesn't mean just be like, well, I know everything, I'm not listening. But like, take it with a grain of salt. Don't be like, oh, this person, like,
take everything with a grain of salt.
Yeah. And I think for me, where this came up, it wasn't like aggressive, but it was more just like that kind of just like normal path of get a good job, work hard, retire at 65. Like, no one was like, you have to do, like, it wasn't like in my face, you have to do this, but it was just so the norm of advice, kind of through example, I guess. But like, just be like, do I want to be that person who is demonstrating that life?
Yeah, it doesn't mean they have a bad life.
No.
But like, is that the life that you want?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe aspects of their advice you like and aspects you don't.
Yeah, but I think putting too much value on someone's opinion who doesn't have the life you want, you can be kind, you can hear them out, but fuck it. Like, if someone, no.
Also, if someone has a lot of money, that doesn't like translate to them having a perfect life that you want.
Oh, I see.
You know what I mean? Like if somebody with a lot of money is giving you advice, that doesn't necessarily mean that that advice is good for you.
Yeah, that's very true. That one's harder because people are like, money won't mess me up. They're like, you know what I mean? Like well, maybe not. I feel like it's easier to be like, but if I had money, I could handle it.
Yeah. There's also a lot of like people with money that are not examples of, they're not people to look up to. There are people with money that are like, that is someone to look up to, but not everyone who has money is a role model, and not everyone with money, like you don't want to be, what am I trying to say?
You're trying to say money isn't the only thing that makes you a good role model.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
My translator. So just because somebody has a lot of money doesn't mean that you should listen to them. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't, but like just have an opinion.
How do they get an opinion?
Just like think things through.
Just like think.
It's not that hard.
But I do. Okay. So one thing though that I like to do is just listen to a ton of stuff or watch a ton of stuff from different people, perspectives, opinions, like,
and take what resonates and leave what doesn't.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like kind of when we were starting, you kind of get pulled in a lot of different directions because you are also, people just give you like unsolicited advice, which is fine, but everyone kind of has a different perspective based off of their experiences, what's worked for them, what hasn't. And so a lot of people will give you conflicting advice, and it's really easy to just kind of get like pulled in all of these directions all of the time. And if you're constantly like going in different directions, you're not actually moving forward anywhere. You're just kind of going around in circles.
It's like whose voice is the loudest that day.
Yeah.
It's also true that you can have different paths to the same result.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways of doing things and still being successful. So there's generally not one way.
Yeah. Sweet. We did it. We busted all the myths.
Episode 3.
The dog's barking.
Yeah, the dog is barking.
See you next week.
Bye.